Hi, everyone. Welcome. We're happy to have you here for our next Transformation Fund webinar. I see Casey's here. He'll join us in a second, and welcome everyone as well. We're delighted to have our colleagues from SUNY Adirondack and SUNY Plattsburgh to talk about their dual admission partnership and share their strategies and challenges. Casey, did you want to say anything for a welcome?
Sure. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining. And we're just so pleased and thankful for Plattsburgh and Adirondack's willingness to talk with us today about their dual admission partnership. So we have an exciting presentation ahead. And without further ado, would love to kick it to them to take it away.
Great. Well, thank you, everyone. I'll start us off here. My name is John Delate. I serve as Vice President for Enrollment and Student Affairs here at SUNY Adirondack. Have a great team who will introduce themselves as they take on some of the particular slides from our slideshow today. So we are really grateful to SUNY for the transformation funds. Without that funding, it would not have been possible to create this great dual partnership. But again, while we've had the partnership, we'll talk a little bit about the history of Plattsburgh being on our campus. Really, it's much deeper than that, and it's been solidified through this dual admission program that we're quite proud of, but we also see it as a wonderful model for many other SUNY institutions. So we're happy today to share our limited wisdom, our experiences, the challenges we overcame, but most importantly, we want to be partners with you. We learn so much from our partners at SUNY, and while today is a presentation, we welcome any feedback, but more importantly, if anyone wants to talk more specifically about how we did this, we can talk at another time in a more detailed fashion. So we're going to go over today this partnership. And remember, when we think about it, obviously the core focus is the student. That student who wants to come to Adirondack first to start out, mostly stay local from our servicing counties that we serve in the area, Warren and Washington and Northern Saratoga, and wants to remain here for the duration, which not only is beneficial, of course, to Adirondack and Plattsburgh, but also to our area. Warren County, for example, the median age is now approaching 50 years old. That's a very difficult demographic. We want younger people to stay. If they're educated here all the way through the baccalaureate, they're more likely to stay in the area, enrich the local environment, and more importantly, be a big pillars of the community for years to come. So this is the type of partnership that has long-term ramifications for our geographic area and, of course, for both of our schools. So as you see here, we're going to kind of walk through how this partnership formed. But before I go to the next slide, I just want to say the foundation of it is truly relational and then the development and building of trust. You have to trust each other that you're out there for the aim of the student. It's not to take students from one school to the other. It's to have a seamless transfer possibility. And I think that's really important because initially, there is a fear. We live in a time where there's a limited number of students, traditionally aged students, I should say, in our county service areas. So you're always reluctant to kind of share in the sense like, oh boy, am I going to potentially lose one of these students? In this case, build on trust, understanding that each party is going to benefit from this. And we see it ultimately as a win-win situation. So with that, we'll move it forward to our next slide, and Michelle can introduce herself.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Michelle Peter, and I've been working for SUNY Plattsburgh on the SUNY Adirondack campus for over 22 years now, serving in multiple roles, but most recently, my title is Assistant Director. And I've seen a lot of changes throughout the years. SUNY Plattsburgh began offering courses in the region in the 80s. Well, they were in the region, they weren't on the SUNY Adirondack campus until the 90s, and that began our beautiful partnership. In 2005, SUNY Plattsburgh was designated as an extension center. And for those familiar with how the system is, there's extension site, extension center before becoming a full branch campus. We were actually the first four-year partner to move into SUNY Adirondack's Bryan Hall, the Regional Higher Education Center, which you see, it's a beautiful building on the slide there. And Plattsburgh contributed a significant in-kind donation for the construction of this project and the technology in the building. And through our careful work, we've continued updating articulation agreements. And we executed in 2014 a 2+2 agreement, but we're really super proud of our innovative dual admission agreement that was signed in 2024. So the programs you see on the screen are intended for students to earn their associate's degree with SUNY Adirondack before transitioning to SUNY Plattsburgh. The programs represented are liberal arts and sciences, humanities, and social sciences are really a very flexible program which can transition to our psych or human development and family relations. The criminal justice police science directly transfers to our criminal justice program. And then computer science or IT cybersecurity transfers to our computer security program. But really any student at SUNY Adirondack who wants to transfer into one of our programs, we're happy to work with them closely one-on-one to provide a seamless transfer.
Great, thank you. So I'm Emma Volks. I serve as director of our SUNY Plattsburgh branch campus. And I know Michelle indicated we executed our 2+2 agreement in 2014, with dual admission being the ultimate goal though, right? So 2+2 dual admission, two very different things. So dual admission ultimately have the goal of that seamless transfer experience without the need for students to apply to Plattsburgh when they were ready to take that step and transfer. And so in terms of our process and how we geared up for, realizing dual admission, we first started discussing dual admission back in 2017. We had created a framework. It included application, advising, marketing plans from both perspectives of the student experience, and then on the back end, what faculty and staff, would be needed and what those roles would be. Ultimately, though, technology was a barrier, and so we put the project on hold. So 2023, though, was our next milestone for dual admission. We ratified a contract between schools related to the parameters of our presence here on campus. Both schools had also migrated to using Slate, and so the time was ripe to revisit dual admission. And so in terms of the process and how we broke that down, of course, there were a lot of large meetings and then smaller, working groups. And we had three main focuses at that time: to draft the MOU, continue focusing on updating our articulation agreements, and then of course marketing. And so we wanted to make sure we were working on all aspects of dual admission so that we kept moving on the process. So we convened a working group November 2023, and just 2 months later we executed our MOU agreement January 22nd. Provost office had supplied most of a template, so the process moved quickly here. We leaned on our work done in 2017 to inform the process, so that moved pretty quickly. The next milestone was our signing event, and April 15th, and Rhonda will talk more about marketing involved in our signing event, which is really when we went public with it, but it's also the date at which SUNY Adirondack's application went live with dual admission. So it was the first opportunity students could, elect or opt in for dual admission. So that was definitely an important date and milestone for us. Since then, it's really been translating what we have in the MOU and putting it into practice and tweaking as needed. So, for instance, right now I'm working on an SOP to more clearly define the steps we have at each stage and who is responsible.
In terms of collaboration, you can see the teams that we have, that we pulled in from both institutions for our meetings. But above all, the common goal was always to improve the student experience. So we always approached our work through that lens. And so ultimately we see, in terms of the benefits of dual admission, as access to a bachelor's degree close to home, right? Taking that a step further, students can remain right here on campus to complete their 4-year degree. One application is reviewed for admissions at both institutions. There are shared transcripts and admissions records, so no fees attached. Of course, friendly in-person advising and support every step of the way, and continued access to SUNY Adirondack events, activities, residence halls, and more. And I think with any large project, of course, there's challenges or successes. So I'll just highlight a few of those before we move on. In terms of challenges, I think obviously working with such a large group between campuses, it's just hard to get everybody in the room or on Zoom, right? So Doodle was our friend, and I think just employing meeting best practices, starting on time, ending on time, providing an agenda for all of our meetings sort of help embed efficiency into our meetings. And then two, creating smaller working groups to discuss, when more detailed focus was needed, right? When it came to the data exchange, right? So let's get our ITS teams involved in our registrar's office to talk of those details. I think the other challenge is, just building the plane while we're flying it is sort of a term we used a few times. And I think flexibility and communication are really key in this process, because we were, building it as we went. And so I think leaning on our long-standing history with SUNY Adirondack and that relationship really helped. But if you're creating dual admission with a new partner, I think really spending that time to build that relationship and focus on that'll be critical. And then of course, successes. So cost savings, decreased barriers for students, making that transfer process easier. We're also excited that this prospect can help us recruit a larger pool of students that otherwise each school wouldn't be able to recruit otherwise. Inclusive admission, I think, is really critical here with our dual admission process. And what I mean by that is we allow students to opt into dual admission at any time. So if they didn't first check that box when they applied to SUNY Adirondack to opt in for dual admission, they can do so throughout their journey at SUNY Adirondack, right? They change their major, they change their career focus. And so we didn't want that process to be penalizing in any way. So we've got the process, it exists, so why not extend that to any student moving forward? And then lastly, just to date, we have 14 students that were dual admitted the past fall and spring, and then an additional 7 that opted in for dual admission that will start with us this spring. So I think we're off to a great start and excited to see where dual admission takes us in the future.
All right, thanks, Emma. So hi, everyone. I'm Jenny Postlethwaite. I'm the Director of College Access and Student Success here at SUNY Adirondack. And before I jump into student supports, I'm going to back up a little bit to what Emma had started talking about with the dual admission event that we had on campus. It was a really great celebration. And we really used it as a big marketing draw for not only current students who might be interested in the newly designed agreement, but then our high school partners, their students, their families. We invited elected officials. We invited SUNY system admin, local chamber of commerce folks, local employer partners and businesses that we have. So we've really tried to bring a little bit of everyone to campus to join in this moment and really build some excitement around it. We had the mascots there. It was just a really fun event. and we had a full house. So if anyone needs help designing something like that, we'd be happy to share kind of how we went about that. And Rhonda will talk more about the specific marketing techniques in a little bit. So to move on to student supports, on the screen is the residence hall that's at SUNY Adirondack. So once students finish at SUNY Adirondack and move on to SUNY Plattsburgh, they can opt to live on campus. We're not going to tell them, nope, you need to go find an apartment off campus and good luck. We would love for them to stay and have everything that they need resource-wise right at their fingertips. So the dual admitted students that decide to move on to Plattsburgh are really lucky. They get tutoring at both Adirondack and Plattsburgh. Same with career advising. They can do student mentoring at Adirondack. They get the technology support and laptop loans. Plattsburgh has a great loan program for their students. But if they need tech support, of course, Adirondack can assist with that as well. And then they can take advantage of student activities, clubs, health and wellness related activities. There is a fitness center on our campus, so they're welcome to use that along with our library. I know I'm forgetting one. Oh, commencement ceremony. So we have a joint commencement ceremony. So at Adirondack's graduation ceremony, we invite Plattsburgh and their graduating students to participate in that as well. It's a really fun, exciting moment. Plattsburgh has their flags up, Adirondack has their flags up, Plattsburgh has speakers. So it's a really nice joint effort and celebration. And making sure I'm not missing any. I think the other one is just accessibility and disability support for students. Both campuses are available to support with that as well. So I'm gonna, I think, turn it over to Rhonda to talk more about marketing.
Thank you. I am Rhonda Triller, Director of Marketing and Communications at SUNY Adirondack, and I helped market our dual admission program. One of the key things we did early on was purchase two sizable lists. One was the homes in the region, about a 60 to 80 mile radius of Queensbury, which is where our main campus is located, with families with children ages 13 to 17 within the home. And that was more than 100,000. It was nearly 103,000 homes. And we purchased a second list for potential adult learners, same region, but it ended up being 84,000 homes with adults ages 18 to 40 who had self-reported interest in continuing their education. We use those lists to do IP targeting, digital campaigns, both in social media and in OTT or streaming TV. The campaigns, we ran a few different ones. They started in mid-June through mid-August, and then we ran another group mid-September to late October. The social media campaigns they made nearly 400,000 impressions and had a 1.5% click rate, which is pretty respectable. And the majority of those were in the 25 to 34-year-old range. So those are folks who are traditionally pretty hard to reach. And then our streaming TV ads, which I will actually share one with you, but because I am not super tech savvy, I messed it up. So I have to stop share and then reshare a different screen. And I am so sorry for this. But I can show you one of our streaming ads, provided I can find it. Here we go. This is just an example. We did have two different ads at two different lengths. And then Plattsburgh also had an ad with similar messaging, but here's the ad.
The main reason why I liked coming was it didn't feel like I was alone. It's like a tight-knit community. I lived in the dorms, and after I got my 2-year, it was time to get my 4, and I just walked an extra 100 yards to be here. It's the perfect transition from high school to community college, and then community college to a 4-year school. And then in 4 years, I ended up with a 4-year degree through Plattsburgh, but I just came here. I mean, it is no different. My degree looks the same as everybody else's at Plattsburgh. It's pretty cool.
And again, now I'm jumping back to the other screen. So sorry. In my next life, maybe I will be more tech savvy. I don't even know what's playing right now. Can you guys see my screen show now? I have something else playing on my, there we go. Sorry about that. So those did very well. We also sent, you can see here, the dual admission that has Eddie and the Cardinal on it, Bergie. We sent out a mailer through MSpark, which are like the free flyers you receive at your house with coupons and such. And that went to more than 50,000 homes in our greater service area, promoting the agreement. And we also did an entire issue of our alumni magazine, which is called Community Roots, based all on folks who graduated from SUNY Adirondack and then went on to SUNY Plattsburgh. That was highly successful, and we got a lot of great feedback. We're using those stories also on social media still. They provided a lot of really great clips for us, a lot of great storytelling, and now the slideshow is changing itself. I don't know what I'm doing. Here we go. Sorry about that. So we're still using the list that we purchased, which is really helpful. And we are continuing to share messaging around the dual acceptance program. We think that the list will be helpful for us for the next few years, especially that adult learner population and folks who we know are interested in pursuing a degree at all, but especially a bachelor's degree without having to leave the area. These are folks who tend to be pretty planted in our community with families and jobs and such. So we are continuing to push our messaging and let them know that they have a great option right here with us.
Rhonda, thank you. If you want to go back one slide to the recommendations, I'll kind of do the wrap up here.
Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. There we go. Thank you so much. And again, we're going to have Q&A after this. And we have some questions in the queue right now in the chat that Emma's has been responding to. But really, I know it sounds cliche, but the relationships are everything. With that, though, I would say is don't make assumptions. Again, I'm coming at this from all the folks on this the slide presentation today have done all the work, the groundwork. But seeing it from my view, it's so imperative that we both understand what our needs are and dispel concerns. As I said, initially you're thinking, wait a minute, are we competing for that same student? Well, we are, to have them go through this dual track, starting with Adirondack and then working their way through Plattsburgh. I think that's very important. Secondly, again, we were very fortunate with the SUNY transformation funds, but that was for us 75,000 and 10,000 for Plattsburgh. They had other funds for different articulation agreements. But again, that money goes, as you know, in the marketing area pretty quickly. We utilized it very effectively, as Rhonda noted there. But you have to recognize if you don't have that external funding, how do you find it internally and how do you work a budget out? And then who's responsible for which portion of the budget? Very important. The publicity, as has been articulated by Jenny, Michelle, Emma, and Rhonda, it really is this joint publicity. First and foremost, it's the SUNY brand that we're selling. And then it's the particular Adirondack and Plattsburgh and staying here on campus that we're really focusing on, along with, of course, the majors. But you recognize that a lot of it is built upon that brand. They want to be a SUNY graduate. They ultimately want to earn their bachelor's degree, and to do it locally, as Rhonda just noted, is very important to a lot of our students. It also expanded our marketing area a little bit as well, of some people in the region who maybe just didn't want to go several hours away up to the Plattsburgh campus, but stay local. So that was very important. One other point I wanted to make is yesterday we had a celebratory luncheon with the Plattsburgh team, including their faculty and our team at Adirondack. And the faculty re-articulated yesterday, restated it. Our students that start out at Adirondack, then transfer to Plattsburgh in the seamless dual admission, they do very, very well there. And that's heartening to us to know that our professors do a great job. And then when they transition, the Plattsburgh faculty feels as though they're very well prepared for the next steps of the bachelor program. So as Jenny noted, we had a great signing ceremony. President Inyati and our President Duffy were there. It was very celebratory, but again, it gathered a lot of publicity, local press, along with our opportunities through marketing to spread the word throughout our areas. And of course, Plattsburgh doing their marketing efforts as well. I would say one other recommendation when it comes to marketing, determine who's going to kind of be the primary driver. And because students they started with us, we were really the predominant drivers of that marketing, has been noted by Rhonda. And I think that's very important. So we're not kind of stepping on each other's toes and knowing what our roles are. The other final thing, as you know, is keep the communication going. Don't make assumptions. Reassess, where are we at? What changes should we make? And that's what this team does all the time. Meets periodically, make sure we're on the same page, and make sure we're moving forward in a progressive manner. So with that, I thank everyone for listening. I thank the presenters for their great work. And we're open to any other questions. Jen, I'll turn it back to you. And again, we thank everybody for your time today.
Well, thank you so much to our Adirondack and Plattsburgh colleagues for that great presentation. I know that there's some folks here who've asked some questions in the chat, and it looks like those are being responded to. What other questions do folks have? Please feel free to unmute, raise your hand, and we'll field questions as they come in. I think, did anyone just come off mute?
A question from
Sure.
Stella about whether or not Adirondack students are taking Plattsburgh courses on the Adirondack campus. And so while the student is a SUNY Adirondack student, in those first 2 years, they're getting their coursework from SUNY Adirondack. Especially as it relates to financial aid, it can be tricky to take a course sort of at Plattsburgh while they're an Adirondack student. So really taking Adirondack courses the first 2 years and then finishing up that degree with Plattsburgh the final 2 years. Anything you'd add there, Michelle or Rhonda, Jenny?
No, I think that's all correct. And I apologize if you just said this, Emma. But in the second 2 years when they're with Plattsburgh, the courses are on the Adirondack campus, or they may be online with Plattsburgh. So yes, the students are staying on the Adirondack campus to complete that coursework. I think our example might be a really grand example, and you might be at a community college right now, like, okay, well, who has funding to go get a 4-year partner to just come jump on our campus? So I don't think you necessarily need that to have dual admission agreements, right? You can do these with 4-year partners that you already have great relationships with. I would just say it's all about simplifying it for the student and making them aware of why it's such a great opportunity and how easy it's going to be for them. Like, you're doing one application and then you're never requesting a transcript, but you're going to go on visits to your 4-year partner. The campuses, I think, the Plattsburgh is doing a lot with Adirondack early on to make them feel like they're a Plattsburgh student, even though they're continuing to work on their associate's degree at that time. So it's all about just keeping that relationship building going and not letting the student kind of fall out of the cycle. Like, well, I don't know how this class compares to the Plattsburgh class. Like, they're well informed of the pathway that's in front of them and how they need to get from point A to point B.
Can I follow up on that? This is Stella Turk. So does that mean that you have your Adirondack, the Plattsburgh professors teaching the online courses, or are we, do we have an arrangement for the Adirondack professors to teach the Plattsburgh courses? And if a student wants to move to the Plattsburgh campus, I think you had said that there was housing that was guaranteed for that student, if I understood the presentation.
So let me unpack it a little more, because I think what we have here at SUNY Adirondack is unique. So SUNY Plattsburgh has a branch campus located at SUNY Adirondack. We also, of course, have our Plattsburgh campus, 2 hours north of here. So in terms of, students typically do their 2-year degree at SUNY Adirondack. They're taking the lower level coursework and then transfer to Plattsburgh at our branch campus. So staying right here on the Adirondack campus to complete their 4-year degree. So Plattsburgh is offering the upper level coursework needed to complete that degree. In terms of online, so we offer at our branch campus, we offer in-person courses right here on the Adirondack campus for our Plattsburgh branch students. We also offer, online courses as well, and those are taught either by our Plattsburgh faculty up in Plattsburgh, here in Queensbury. So that's often taught by a mix of faculty. I know there was a couple different points to that question. Michelle or Jenny, you want to clarify anything else?
I think you got it. Plattsburgh faculty are teaching Plattsburgh courses. I know that was one of the main questions.
However, I mean, there is this nice reciprocity with our faculty. We will occasionally hire some SUNY Adirondack faculty to teach courses for us. And conversely, SUNY Adirondack hires our faculty to teach some of their courses as well. They're adjuncts at the others' institutions. So, but that works out nicely. But yeah, Plattsburgh has been offering face-to-face courses on the SUNY Adirondack campus since the 90s. And myself, I have been here since the early 2000s. So yeah, a long history of offering courses here on site.
I would just add to that, this chemistry we have here. Yesterday's celebratory luncheon was a great example. You don't really distinguish the faculty between one school or the other. They're here with the SUNY Adirondack Plattsburgh partnership, and it's great to see. And I think our students feel that. There's a seamlessness. Brian Hall, when you walk in, you feel comfortable if you're going into the Plattsburgh office. And I wanted to just acknowledge one real success story. There are many, many of them, but we have one individual who went the 2 years, received the associate degree with us at Adirondack, went on and earned a bachelor's from Plattsburgh, and now is a staff member on Jenny's team, serving as an advisor. And the great thing is, it's a very young person. They're staying in the area. They're settling in the area. So it's a win-win for the community and for both schools.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment to that Stella also asked about guaranteed housing at Plattsburgh, and I see Jenny mentioned that the students can continue to live in the SUNY Adirondack dorms, the res hall, as long as they're a SUNY Plattsburgh at Queensbury students. So I think it was Jenny who mentioned in her slides that SUNY Adirondack doesn't kick them out and ask them to get an apartment there. They can stay and they work out that arrangement. The student does independently with SUNY Adirondack. And a lot of times students can use their financial aid toward that housing, the cost of housing, as they would normally do. I hope that answers Stella's question better.
Sure. And Valerie?
Thanks, Casey, and thank you all. This was such an informative presentation, and I just wanted to echo sort of the system focus on identifying unique models of transfer opportunities. And I think that perhaps there was a little confusion with regards to how your program is implemented, but it's not to say that it has to be followed in this exact format by other colleges. I think you've all said that in various ways, but I just wanted to echo that this is just one great example of a successful partnership between a 2-year and a 4-year college, or two-year and 4-year colleges, that we are just really trying to underscore and help to replicate. Not to say that it has to be followed in this exact manner, but as you said, this is a partnership where students can obtain their 4-year degree on the 2-year campus. And I'm sure that there are other opportunities for students to transfer directly to Plattsburgh if in fact they want to, but that's not necessarily this particular program. So I just wanted to sort of further clarify that for the group. Correct me if I'm wrong in any of that, but I do think that because of the long-standing success here, the fact that you are appealing to local audiences and populations who really they're landlocked and they don't have an opportunity to travel and move. So this is a great way to provide both a 2-year and a 4-year degree option. So just wanted to further echo all of that. And thank you.
Thanks, Valerie. Shoshana?
Hi, thank you for having this forum. I have a I'm gonna say a unique question. So at SUNY Downstate, we're upper division transfer school. Most of our programs are graduate programs. And we recently had a meeting with another SUNY campus where their undergraduate students from the psych department would be able to take 6 of our core courses, but take those courses prior to obtaining their baccalaureate degree. And then Downstate will transfer in those 6 courses as part of the degree completion requirement for the graduate. So my question is, do you have an agreement or MOU with another SUNY campus where essentially you're kind of double dipping?
We, a while ago, maybe Emma and Michelle remember, we used to have an agreement with SUNY Plattsburgh specific to nursing, where our nursing students could take a BSN nursing course through Plattsburgh at the same time as their nursing AAS, so really leading them to the RN. But I don't know if we've continued that, but that's the only example that I can think of in terms of Adirondack's agreements for something similar.
There was one other, when you've been around a long time, you see a lot of things happen. We actually offered graduate courses toward it's basically educational leadership. And we actually had a partnership with Potsdam as well, whereby some of the graduate courses that were offered here on the SUNY Adirondack campus, offered by Plattsburgh on this campus, were transferred to Potsdam, and vice versa. I think Potsdam would transfer some of their courses as part of our program here as well. And it's a little foggy because it was quite some time ago. And that program was then, our program in Ed Leadership was moved fully online. But I think that Plattsburgh, without even fully recognizing, and SUNY Adirondack for that matter as well, the partnership together, they've really been quite innovative. And I would like to celebrate that more, the innovation both of these colleges have put forth.
I think I'll just add, I think in addition to what Michelle just mentioned, what you're talking about sounds a little bit like the 4+1 programs we have at our Plattsburgh.
That's exactly correct.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not multi-institutions, but at Plattsburgh, we have students who take their undergrad degree, and then when they jump to the master's program, I know a number of the undergrad courses are counting towards the graduate degree. So it happens within an institution, so why not between multiple institutions would be, I guess,
the difference is the students will be taking these 6 upper level courses prior to receiving the baccalaureate degree, which is an admissions requirement for the master's program. And there were some concerns floating around about double dipping on courses across different levels. But I know that SUNY Empire has quite a few of these agreements. So I was hoping that either to get a point person who could give me some guidance on how to proceed with that sort of relationship, undergrad to grad.
Sure. So Shoshana, I think the question that you're asking is a good one. And I think there's different policies that campuses have to avoid the double counting of credits, such as allowing a certain number of credits to count towards the graduate program. Also making sure that you define how graduate courses are used in the bachelor's degree. So I think the most appropriate contact at SUNY would be for you to start with your program reviewer, whomever that is for downstate in the provost's office. And from there, they should be able to help you at least triage who to connect with, because there's also financial aid implications embedded there. I think that's a little bit different than a dual admission program per se, but I think that the question's a valid one. But I would begin with the SUNY Provost's office, because it's really an academic question.
I appreciate the guidance. Thank you.
Other questions?
I was going to say, Casey, I see a question from Lauren about the governor's recent announcement of the free community college for adults 25 to 55. We did just discuss this with Plattsburgh yesterday at our meeting, and absolutely, it's a potential great opportunity. We're, of course, waiting to see what the legislation will be, and hopefully it will be according to the governor's desires, because we think it'll work well for us here and for the entire system. But absolutely looking at advising, marketing, and other strategies. Our key, of course, is the programs offered matching the governor's proposal. But great question. We're excited about it. We think it has tremendous potential. But as you're noting, it might be that gateway through the community college, but ultimately for the baccalaureate degree as well.
And from a marketing standpoint, following up on what John said, I've already started to kind of like cull some stories that we have already done from alumni, seek out other alumni who would be willing to share their stories, looking at current students who would be able to share their stories in those fields that we offer that could help kind of promote that cause.
I think the
Agreed.
last thing I'll add, since I'm in enrollment, and how could I not end a meeting with it, but a student does not have to have graduated from SUNY Adirondack to take advantage of this branch campus that Plattsburgh has on the Adirondack campus. So if you know of a student that's, in the Capital District, in the North Country, that can't make it up to Plattsburgh, they can reach out to SUNY Plattsburgh's branch campus at Adirondack and make sure that they meet all of their entrance requirements, but they too could then enroll at the branch campus for any of those programs and potentially live on campus here if that's what they needed to do to be successful. So something else to keep in mind with this program.
Other questions while we have them? Well, hearing none, I just want to welcome everyone to join me once again in thanking profusely our Plattsburgh and Adirondack friends for sharing what's been a long-standing partnership and really, I think, an emblem and an exemplar for dual admission programs. Again, hopefully on your campus, this is something that you're interested in exploring, and you'll take this back to your leadership to think about how this might work. And we look forward to continuing to offer more of these sessions throughout the spring semester, and be on the lookout for our next session, which we hope you'll take advantage of. This has been recorded and it'll be posted to the team site and also be sent out to all registrants. So please share with your networks as well. And John, if you'd like to say something in closing as well.
Yeah. First of all, thank you, Casey. Thank you, Jen, for the great opportunity. And thank you, SUNY, for this tremendous support, not only material support, but moral support as well. We really appreciate this community college of practice group that helps us, but also with Plattsburgh's involvement, SUNY at large. We could not do this on our own. And I just want to add, for anyone listening, please reach out to us. We have some real great experts, Jenny, Emma, Rhonda, and Michelle. They're welcoming you to reach out for any more detail. We gave the overview, but we'd love to work with you on any specifics because, as I said, we have learned so much from our colleagues across SUNY, and we welcome the opportunity to share our information, any advice with all of you. So thank you again.
Thanks so much. Well, this concludes our session. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your day.